Hi guys, how are you doing? It is Dom here from Soundsphere. Just had a wonderful chat with the probably the coolest and best guitarist in the world, in my view, and many other people's. Nita Strauss, of course, plays for Alice Cooper, plays for Demi Lovato, has had a Billboard #1, has a Super Bowl ring from the LA Rams, has worked with WWE performing themes for Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania, and all that. Besides, we talk about some of that stuff here as well as the new material. There's a new single out, Winner Takes All, which features Alice Cooper, of course, a long-time collaborator, as we mentioned, of Nita. So we talk about that and more. So I do apologise as well. I'm very ill. I was very ill when we recorded this, so you can hear some coughs. You can probably hear my voice now. But yes, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for bearing with me. And thank you for your support of this channel and this video, this audio, however you are consuming this. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, listening, whatever. Awesome. Right, Nita, it's an absolute pleasure. I know you're very, very busy. You've got lots and lots of things coming up, and we're going to talk about some of that stuff today. Before we do the plugging stuff, promoting all of your new stuff that's coming up, or as much as we can talk about today, I'd like to know something. I'd like to do a little bit of a word association for you. We're going to do two words, and I'm going to ask you what you think about them, what you kind of how you define them. And the first word is success. You've achieved a great deal in your career. You have been very successful. Some people define success differently, and I want to know how you, with everything you've been able to achieve, how do you define success as a person and as a musician, and are they one and the same thing?
I think success as a person or as a musician is doing the things that you love on your own terms and being able to make your living doing that. I'm really lucky that I have the career that I want. I get to tour with some incredible artists. I get to release the music that I love, my solo music, and those are the things that, I feel happy. I feel happy in my personal life. I feel happy in my public life. And those are the things I think make me successful. It's not because of, yeah, I have a car I like and, a house that I like, but I think really for me, the definition of success is doing the things that you love on your own terms and succeeding in that way.
Absolutely. And in terms of the legacy that you want to leave, obviously the artists that you work with and some of the artists you've got on your, forthcoming record and the artists you work with across your career have a legacy of their own. Do you concern yourself much with the legacy you are creating now and the legacy you will leave behind eventually as a person and as a musician?
I think it's important to leave whatever industry or whatever space you're in better than the way you found it. So for me, in that way, I started touring when I was 15, and it was so much less normal to be a female musician at that time, especially touring, being on the road. I would go into, like all the cliche stuff, I'd go into Guitar Center and people ask me if I'm shopping for a boyfriend or something like that, ask to take a guitar down off the wall, and they would scoff at me like I wouldn't know how to play it. So being a part of affecting that change, being a part of this incredible, I didn't do it alone. There were so many people that came before me, and there are so many people riding this wave with me. But being a part of this incredible wave of female guitar players that are coming out now and changing the perception of how it is to be a woman in this industry, it's just a great feeling. I just finished a tour with Demi Lovato where I think the ratio of women to men on the tour was actually 50-50. There was 12 girls on our bus. We had, an all-female band. We had a female production assistant. We had a female lighting director, merch, wardrobe, Demi's makeup artist. There were just so many incredible women on that tour. And that's something I've never experienced. And this is my 21st year of touring. So it's changing. It's changing for the better. And I like to think that I can be a small part of that.
Yeah, I love that. And certainly that was something I wanted to ask you. Do you feel any weight or responsibility as someone who has the accolades that you have? We'll talk about your sort of breaking into sports and stuff in a minute. You've broken into pop culture really as a guitarist. And I wonder, do you feel any weight or responsibility when it comes to inspiring the next wave and generation of young guitarists across genders? But of course, you did mention there, it is a big part of your kind of remit now. But do you feel any kind of weight around that responsibility, or do you not really think about it at all?
No, I definitely think about it. I think it's important to set the example that you want to set for the next generation coming up. So, I think about that a lot. I think about it in my sobriety. I think about it in the way that I conduct myself in interviews and stuff like that. I think about the type of role model that I would want to be if anybody's looking at me like that, because like now I've been told that people are. So once people tell you that, then you have this different sense of responsibility of like, hey, let me give the kids, or whoever's watching something good to look at, somebody positive. I try to keep my posts fairly positive. I try to keep my attitude fairly positive, and my sort of personal vibe pretty healthy and positive, and be that person that I would want my kids to someday look up to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is there for a lot of people to see. I do want to kind of harken back to something you mentioned about, kind of when you were coming up, and obviously you've been involved with Alice Cooper for many, many years. Is there a difference culturally? You mentioned obviously the Demi Lovato shows and the ratio, of women versus men in those audiences. What are the great differences culturally that you've experienced, across the genres that you've worked in? Obviously, you've been working with Alice for many, many years. You've been working in metal for many years. Demi Lovato is a different culture as well. So, what are the differences that you notice when you are kind of going between those musical genres and cultures, really, as a touring musician?
Yeah, I would say that the most noticeable difference for me is, take Demi's music, for example. Demi made a name for herself playing very mainstream music. And her most recent album, which I'm not sure if I can say the title on this show, but you can bleep me if I can, it's called Holy Fuck. It's like complete departure from what she was doing before. And not only were we playing these new, heavier style of songs on her tour, but we also completely reworked her old songs to be, rock versions of the old songs. We're playing Cool for the Summer, we're playing Heart Attack, we're playing, all of her hit songs in a rock version. And a lot of fans that I have encountered in my life would have had an uproar over that. They would have said, no, this is not what we signed up for. We want to hear the songs this the way that we're used to hearing them. This is, you know, and her fans were overwhelmingly supportive. They showed up in the thousands and thousands. They waited outside the hotel singing her songs all night. They came, they supported in every step of the way. They were there for her and they had her back. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful to be a part of. It was beautiful to see that kind of support. They're there saying, hey, you know what? I liked Cool for the Summer when it sounded like that. I like Cool for the Summer when it sounds like this. We follow the artist and the artist is happy and we support Demi in her happiness. And it was just beautiful. It was beautiful to see.
I love that, and I love the enthusiasm, Anita. It's wonderful to get your thoughts on this, and I want to talk about you've got some new stuff coming up. Some of the stuff we can talk about is a new single, "Winner Takes All," which is the first time you've had Alice Cooper in the studio with you working on a track with you. You commented in the PR about how cool that was for you, but I just wanted to sit with you now in your car, where you've obviously got loads of other stuff to do. Just sit with you in this moment and just ask you, what does that mean to you? Because you've worked with Alice for years, you've toured with Alice for years, but to have him on a track on your record and have your music be going so well, what does that mean to you?
I mean, what an honor, right? Like, what a supreme honor to get to, present a song to Alice and have his voice on my music. I've spent, it'll be 9 years this summer, 9 years of the reverse of executing Alice's songs to fit his vision, and to be able to, flip the roles a little bit and present him a song and have him execute a song with my name on it. It's mind blowing to me that it even happened. He, of course, I mean, he's Alice Cooper. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We didn't write him a song that was in a high key or anything he would have to go crazy on. Like we tried to write an Alice Cooper song for Alice Cooper, and I think we did it. His manager listened to it for the first time. Is like, did he write this? It's like, no, actually, we wrote it for him. And so just a lot of thought and care went into the process, and we wanted to showcase him in the best possible light, just play to his strengths, and just do it in a little, showcase him in a little bit of a different way. And I think we accomplished what we wanted to with it. And The song is fun. It's fun to play, so I'm very, very pleased with it.
Yeah, it's an exciting time for you, of course. And I wanted to ask because obviously, in terms of this material, in terms of obviously you've had Billboard #1. You've obviously done very, very well with this material. Hundreds of thousands of people are now looking to you for inspiration. How is this new material you're putting out? And we'll talk about it. We'll do the plugging bit at the end. But how is this new material pushing you in new ways as an artist? Because you kind of to the outside, ear and eye, you've done it all. So how does this stuff push you in new ways, would you say?
It has definitely forced me to grow up a lot as a musician and as a songwriter. If you listen to my first album, Controlled Chaos, which I self-produced, self-engineered, I recorded every instrument. My boyfriend played the drums, and I even engineered the drums, which is terrible because I am not an engineer and I don't know how to engineer drums. I look it up on YouTube, and it shows. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the stomping of feet and smashing your head into the wall of making Controlled Chaos. But I think this upcoming record really shows a lot of evolution as an artist. I was really able to take a step back, take a deep breath, allow the collaborative process to happen with, different outside writers and collaborators and guest vocalists and guest guitar player, and embrace that collaborative spirit rather than just saying like, this is my thing and I don't want anybody telling me how to do it, so that's the main change, I think.
Yeah, and in terms of how you've evolved, of course, again going from touring stadiums around the world to connecting with sports. Now, I'm gonna put you over a little bit here. Obviously, you had the Super Bowl ring. You got the gift from your hometown home team, the LA Rams, a little while ago. Would it be accurate if I was to say you were leading the charge in terms of guitarists and musicians that aren't the front, that aren't always front and center, rather, breaking into pop culture and becoming, again, such a notable, iconic figure in terms of, for guitarists and musicians? Do you feel like you're leading the way into breaking into pop culture in that way?
I don't think I'm leading the way necessarily. The first person I can think of that I would say sort of led the way is maybe Eddie Van Halen, doing famously playing with Michael Jackson, doing the Beat It solo. And then again, in the Michael Jackson world, you saw Jennifer Batten famously at the Super Bowl performing, and the Jennifer Batten Michael Jackson Super Bowl performance, for me, that was my moment of representation. Like when I saw Jennifer at the Super Bowl, and that wasn't even live, I saw video of it years later. But when I saw, this like charismatic, beautiful blonde, on stage with the biggest star in the world, just shredding, so technical, so energetic, so fun. And like, that was my moment of like, I can do that. I saw somebody that looks like me and like that, I want to do what she's doing. So I don't think I was first by any means. I think I'm doing some pretty cool stuff now. I'm definitely doing some stuff that no one else is doing right now, but I don't think I did it first.
Yeah, it's a great reference point for any young people or any creatives, looking and listening to this, to be able to go back and reference some of those points. So yeah, thank you for those, Nita, as well. And it's great to see how you've succeeded. 4 or 5 more questions now. One of the things I got to do last week, as we mentioned off record, was go to WrestleMania and check out SoFi Stadium. Now, one of the things when I've watched videos of you performing there, you have the DJ Malski performing with you, but it's a very it's you up there, and obviously everybody enjoys it and everybody loves it. But what is that like? Because that's very different to being in a touring band. That's very different to rocking out with Alice or Demi. What is it like doing that, getting up there in SoFi Stadium, which is absolutely monolithic inside, and performing in that way to the LA Rams crowd and that sports crowd in that way? What is that like for you?
Oh, I love it. I mean, for me, like I'm a ham, I'm a performer, so like the bigger the stage, the better for me. Like I like the big festival shows. I like, give me the Hellfest, give me the Rock in Rios, give me the Wacken Open Airs, give me the Rams games. Like I think that's where I shine,
Yeah.
Um, and I had an interesting year, that Super Bowl year, because I was touring a ton with Alice, and then I was playing every 2 weeks at the Ram Stadium, and then I finished off the year playing clubs with my solo band. So like within a matter of a couple of days, I was playing to 3,000 people, then 80,000 people, then 400 people, then 3,000 people, then 80,000 people, then 400 people, then 200 people, then 600 people, then 80,000 people. Then it's like, so like, it's this like, ping pong effect of like, okay, well, you just like throw the guitar on your back, throw the pedal board in the front pocket, and like, and off you go. And it was a good exercise in in humility. You know,
Yeah.
some days there's 80,000, some days there's, 300. But it keeps you on your toes, and it really was a good exercise for me in delivering the same show always, delivering the same show no matter if you're playing to 300 people or 80,000 people or an Alice Cooper audience or a Rams audience. And also remembering that that crowd isn't necessarily, I guess at my solo shows, they're there to see me, but that Rams crowd is not really there to see me. They're there to watch the game, which I understand as a football fan. So I'm really only there to enhance their experience and not take their attention away from anything else. When you've got nothing to look at, when the team takes a timeout, we give you something fun to look at, and then we get right out of the way. We let the action get on with the game. So
Yeah.
just really slipping in and out of these different roles is a lot of fun. It
Yeah.
really is.
It's a very professional outlook, and that's something that I was looking. Well, the reason I was looking forward to chatting to you as well is I work with a lot of young people as part of my other job who suffer with anxiety, mental health issues and stuff, and they want to be musicians, and some of them are, but they suffer with stage fright. Now, you mentioned obviously being a hammer. You are a born performer. You look like a rock star. Your riffs are amazing. Riffs are amazing. Everything is tight when you're on stage. But have you ever, even if you don't now, because it certainly doesn't look like it, have you ever felt stage fright at any point in your career? And if so, do you have any tips, maybe 2 or 3, for any young person who is listening to this, reading to this, watching this, whatever, who is interested in kind of beating that back? I've heard some people say if you're not nervous, you're not trying hard enough, and that's something I always kind of liked. But I wonder if you have a different take on it.
Yeah. So first of all, let me preface this by saying, while I don't really get nervous for shows, I am a very anxious person in my daily life. You would think if you see me get up in front on stage and play in front of, thousands of people that I would just be this confident all the time. I'm only that confident with a guitar in my hands. Like you should see me when I'm running 1 minute late to something. I'm a nervous wreck. If I'm not 15 minutes early, I'm pulling my hair out. Like I'm a really high strung, and like I deal with all that in my daily life. So just because I have that confidence in my craft, I still deal with it in other ways. We're not immune to it just because of the music stuff. But strictly in terms of guitar playing, again, I do feel like that's my comfortable spot. If you ever see a photo of me without a guitar in my hands, and then you see a photo from the same shoot with a guitar, you'll see how much more comfortable I am holding a guitar. So it's my comfort zone. The only time in recent memory I can truly say that I got nervous was actually my WrestleMania 34, when I performed with Shinsuke Nakamura in New Orleans. And it was fine. I was good during sound check. I didn't feel any nerves. And then when it was time to walk down the ramp, I walked down the ramp and I was standing there. There's a great picture somewhere of me standing there. There's this ring of camera people around me, still photographers and different camera operators for WWE. And, we're in the Superdome, another NFL arena, the Saints Arena, 80,000 and change in there, millions and millions watching, at home. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, what if I don't know when to start? Like, what if I mess? Like, it wasn't really even making a mistake with the song. I felt fine with the song, but what if I miss the cue? What if they don't tell me when to go? What if something? And I started like the wheels started spinning and everything started getting weird. And then and nobody knew I was going to be there. It was a complete surprise. And then I was like, what if they don't want me here? Like, and then out of the blackness, I to this day don't know who this was, but somebody must have recognized me in the ramp. And I heard this voice say, "Let's go, Nita." And in that moment, I just took a deep breath, and like this sense of calm washed over me. And I was like, oh, like my people are here. There are there are rock fans here that are excited for me and they're gonna enjoy this performance. And I was like, in that moment, I was like, I'm gonna do this for that person. That one person that said, let's go, Nita. Like this is them and me here now. And that's it. I don't know who none of these other people are. And like And so I gave it to them, and that was, I was able to relax and lean into it. So my advice going from that would be, find that thing that makes you feel supported. Find that, whether it's a parent in the audience or a partner or a friend, or maybe you're just playing to, a room full of strangers and whatever it is, but find that whatever it is that makes you feel supported, and lean into that, perform to that, rather than just saying like, I don't know anybody, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Find whatever makes you feel confident and supported.
Yeah, find your people. I love that. I love that, Nita, and thank you for sharing that experience with me as well. I think that that means a lot. That you obviously, even though you have this great stage presence, you have felt that, and I think that's something that it's a beautiful thing to share with people. So thank you for that. Before we do the plugging bit and finish off with a couple more, I do want to ask you about wrestling, because you were at WrestleMania. Wrestling is, you've seen the ins and outs. Like you say, you've seen the production, you've seen everything, being a performer and obviously a fan as well. Do you still have the love for it as a fan when you've been backstage, you've met these people, you've performed in front of thousands? For me, it's about escapism. What is it for you that does it for you, in a wrestling context?
Oh, absolutely. We went to WrestleMania as fans this year. We didn't get tickets from WWE. Like, we went there as true fans, sat up in the very, very high up seats, and went there and truly enjoyed as true fans. It was a spectacle and a half, even if it didn't end the way that I wanted it to. It was just such an incredible experience. And I love watching them. Like, it's almost made more special by the fact that I know some of these people now. So I it gets more and more special. Imagine if you go see your favorite band and then you can text the guitar player afterward and say, great job. Like, it's, how surreal is that? I go see Metallica and then I can text Kirk Hammett and say, great show. Like, I can't do that, but I can text Becky Lynch. So just purely as a fan, it's only enriched the experience for me working with them.
Wonderful, wonderful. And obviously, again, wrestling, is a world of its own outside of music. But I also wanted to ask you, as an extension of that, what does downtime look like for you outside of music? What because to me, you seem, you're so busy. You're just about to shoot a music video. You're sat in your car, and again, thank you for making the time. You're also, again, you're performing, in sports arenas. You're performing and touring with Demi and Alice. Do you have downtime? Do you practice? I know you do have some fitness stuff going on, but do you find it difficult to create downtime for yourself? And what does that look like if and when you manage it?
Impossible.
Yeah,
Literally. I was home 18 days last year, out of 18 days out of 365. The only reason I've been off this year is because I tore my meniscus around this time last year. I toured on it for 8 months and finally had surgery at the end of 2022. So I had a forced 3 months off the road at the beginning of this year. But all of that was, album prep and, getting ready for all this. And then 5 days a week of intense physical therapy, getting ready to go back out on the road. So while I did have 3 months off from tour to start this year, it wasn't really a break because I was in physical therapy. I was recovering from surgery. So I'll let you know how the downtime is. I plan to schedule a little downtime in 2024. So we'll see how that goes.
amazing. Well, I hope you get it. I really do. Obviously, you work very hard, and I think it's a great example. Before we finish off, then, in terms of the plugging, this is going to come out at the end of sort of next week, and there will be a new single announced, which is going to be amazing. Is there anything that you think I've missed? Have I done my job properly, Nita? Is there anything you'd like to plug and promote before we finish?
You are so well researched. I have nothing. Yeah, you can check out my Instagram. I'm Hurricane Nita on all the social platforms. All the album pre-release information will be at nitastrauss.com. That's where people can order the vinyl variants and the released merch and all that kind of stuff. So as long as you know where to find me online, I think that is everything.
Fantastic, fantastic. Just before we leave, is there a nugget of advice that you would give to anybody listening, any fans of yours? Doesn't have to be related to music. Something you heard when you were a kid, something you heard yesterday, something a performer has shared with you that you carry with you every day, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. Is there something that you hold with you all the time that you would like to share with people?
Oh, this is so broad. um, I'm trying to think. There's so many different circumstances where I would give different pieces of advice. Um, but I wear a shirt often which says "Stay humble or be humbled." My boyfriend actually has a clothing brand called Beverly Kills, and he's the one that makes that shirt. And I like that attitude because I think if you're not humble, the world will find a way to make you humble. So just like I was talking about bouncing between the big gigs and the small gigs, the arena tours and the club tours, stuff like that. I'm literally going to go this summer from a club tour with my band straight onto the stadium tour with Motley Crue and Def Leppard. So you can't ever be too good for these opportunities. You can't say, well, because I'm playing a stadium tour this year, I'm not going to go and play the club tour before that, and vice versa. Take opportunities as they come and be grateful for them that they're there, and that will serve you better than being too good for anything.
Absolutely. What a wonderful nugget of advice. And Nita, thank you so much for taking so much time out for me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I look forward to catching up with you again. Obviously, good luck with the new stuff. And I hope you get some downtime, hopefully before
Thank you.
2024. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.